Hi everyone, this is Andrew Perry, CCI from Dickinson Center, New York, here with a video on teaching workshop routines. This is a part of the Certified Clogging Instructor Program online video series. This video will represent the seminar that is typically taught at the CCI seminar sessions, either at the National Clogging Convention or at any event that hosts the CCI seminars. If you have any questions, you can call me at 518-529-6157 or email me at andrew@drewcrewcloggers.com. That is ANDREW at DREWCREWCLOGGERS.com. And the purpose of this seminar is basically giving you my tips and tricks on how to teach an effective workshop routine. So this is not about competitive routines. This is a standard workshop routine or workshop teach, so to speak. And so I will be incorporating what is in your CCI manual as well as my own perspectives and commentary on the subject. So I hope you find this interesting and insightful. So let's begin. As I said, it will be a guide for tips and tricks on how to successfully teach a workshop clogging routine in 45 to 60 minutes. This time does fluctuate. It depends on the event. Some events that I have taught at have 50-minute slots with 10-minute breaks in between. Some do 45 minutes. Some go as early or as quick as 35 minutes. You have 35 minutes to teach the dance and then a 10-minute break in between. And there's other events that have no breaks between classes at all, and it's every 45 minutes, and you need to be off at the end of that 45 minutes. So it does vary. The seminar's objectives are learn how to accomplish the task of teaching your dance to a room full of dancers, so at the end of your teach, they will be able to successfully dance your routine. That's the ultimate goal. You want the dancers, whether they retain any of it, which is unlikely, they can at least dance the routine all the way through from beginning to end. Breaking down the steps and sequence of a routine, that is very important. And sequencing and step breakdowns is the subject of other seminars. It's a very important topic, breaking down music, but that's an important part of this as well. Adjusting your routine to the ability level of the dancers, I will get into that, but mainly the idea is you can't go into a workshop classroom or a workshop hall expecting to do this one given way. You're going to have to adjust almost constantly. So you should be aware of that. Finally, fitting the teach of your routine into your allotted time slot while being informative and entertaining all at the same time. Very, very hard stuff. So not just being able to squeeze all the stuff you have to say and do into 45 minutes, you may find the other problem. You may get done way early and have to fill the time. So I'll talk about that a little bit. And being instructive as well as entertaining is a balance that is very hard to strike and requires many years of experience and practice, and I'll talk about that here in a little bit. So first of all, preparation, there it is. Know your dance. You are the master of the routine you are about to teach a hall full of people. Assuming that you choreographed it yourself, not everyone teaches their own choreography, but the majority do. So if you have written the routine yourself, you better well know it. So that's the first step of preparation. Make sure your cue sheet is as accurate as possible. This is a long-standing issue in the clogging workshop world. Writing in a successful cue sheet, which is also another topic of another seminar. But you should be aware of the accuracy of your cue sheet and strive to make it the best product it can be. The time to do this is not right before you go up on stage, but before you send the cue sheet to the workshop, because if you have a mistake on the cue sheet, or if you have issues on the cue sheet, once it's published in the syllabus, there is no going back. That is what's out there. So you should be aware of that before you click send or mail it out or email it out, however you do it. You should be aware of what your cue sheet looks like. You should have an idea of how long each part will take. So routines come in a wide variety, but let's say you have a part that is only 16 beats, likely that will go pretty quickly. If you have a part that's 64 beats, you're probably going to take a little bit longer on that one. So you should have an idea of the flow of the dance, simply because you don't want to spend the first 15 or 20 minutes of a 45-minute class going over this easy part half a dozen times, to find that you have one part left that's so huge that you have to rush to get it in. So you should get the lay of the land in advance and have an idea of what your routine looks like. That goes back to knowing your routine. And make sure that the level of your routine is appropriate for a broader audience as well, and I'll say this specifically, with the audience you are teaching for. Workshops have, again, a wide variety of dancers that attend them. If you have a big workshop, such as Nickel City or the National Clogging Convention, Smoky Mountain Encore, you're likely to see a wide swath of dancers. So obviously the level will be published in the schedule. The people who come to the class will know what they're getting. Smaller workshops are harder because you have one or two halls. The people that attend really don't have as much choice. So you want to be aware when you submit a routine to a workshop who it is that you are going to be teaching for, and make sure that it's appropriate. And then finally, practice, practice, practice. You practice cueing, practice dancing it, practice doing those things at the same time, because that is a skill that takes time, and it is quite perilous trying to figure all that out. But once you get it straight, it's an amazing feeling. So timing, there's a wide variety of topics we can talk about with regard to timing, but specifically, I'm going to be talking about timing of the class in a workshop hall. Always start on time and be ready to go when your slot starts. So you do not want to be late, obviously, but you also don't want to be too early. You don't want to, and I've done this, you get up on stage 10 minutes early, the instructor before you is all done, and you get up there and you're nervous and anxious, and there are people, especially at larger workshops, people kind of sometimes run out onto the dance floor to reserve their spot right in front of the stage, and so now you have a handful of people staring at you. You're inclined to start early. Don't do it. Don't do that. There are going to be a half a dozen or more people that are going to come in 2 or 3 minutes after you start, or like after the appropriate start time, and they're not going to appreciate being a third through the dance already. So be aware of that and try to start as close to the start time as you can. Be mindful at all times of how much time you have left. That should be a running clock in your mind. You should have a watch on or a phone or some clock near you to keep track of the minutes. Because once you get in the groove up there, time can actually go really fast. And you may be stuck on part A for 20-25 minutes and then discover you have 5 parts to go and very little time to do it in. So you should be aware of that. Try not to get bogged down on one step or one section or one part even. That time does go by fast. And how you avoid that is, actually, I'll go back to that point, that fourth point. Teach the overall level of the room. So 80% is the rule. So going back to avoiding spending too much time, you should be aware of about 80% of the room and how they're doing. So to connect it to the fourth point, sorry about that, I just hit the iPad. Conversely, try to avoid going too fast. Do not let one or two fast learners throw off your timing. This is a balance that you have to strike. Sometimes you may get bogged down with one or two dancers who don't know what's going on, and you want to boost them up. You may have one or two really fast learners zipping through, and you think, oh, I need to teach faster for them. Both are equally wrong. You should have an idea of the whole room, and 80% is the rule. If you have about 80%, about 4/5 of the room that are getting the part, they're doing well, you can think about moving on. I typically always ask, get the pulse of the room, you ready to move on to the next part? If someone is vocal enough to really say no, you can go over once more with them and then move on, but don't spend too much or too little time on any one part. If you do finish the routine early, which I have been known to do on many an occasion, you should play the music again at a faster speed perhaps, or have another easy routine ready to go. This again takes more practice to be prepared in this way. If you end with, say, 15 or 20 minutes left to your slot, rather than ending early and just letting people go off and wander, you can go, if you haven't gone at full speed, go at full speed. If it's a slower song and you're at full speed already, go past full speed. And then the other one is having another easy routine. If you are the kind of person that writes several routines and has a lot in the bank, you can teach another easy dance, easy cue and do to fill the rest of the time. Make sure you use your time wisely and always be aware of it. As far as the presentation, this is a very hard balance to strike, and I will refer you to Jeff Driggs. I assume that name is familiar to anybody watching this video. Jeff Driggs is a master of being both a teacher and an entertainer. And he does it very naturally. It's not just, canned jokes that you tell it, this is an exaggeration, but like a knock-knock joke or something. You don't just stand there. You're not a comedian. You're not a stand-up comedian. You're a teacher. You're doing a dance. You're trying to accomplish this goal of getting them to learn the routine. But you can do it in a fun way, and Jeff is a master of that, and I've tried to emulate him at every turn, trying to be as entertaining as possible. This is a personality thing. Some folks really feel very uncomfortable trying to entertain as well as teach. They want to just get up there, teach the dance, and get off. That's fine, but if you really want to be a successful workshop instructor, if you want to get more bookings as an instructor, if that's like an ambition of yours, you should learn how to, at least if you're not trying to be funny, you can be engaging and entertaining in that way with high energy. I tend to be that way only because I'm a hyperactive person anyway. I am very energetic on the stage. So there are a number of tools you can employ to be entertaining. As far as another presentation tip, at the start of the class, you should always introduce yourself to the dancers, whether you know them all or not, and provide basic information about the routine they're going to learn. I would also recommend playing the music in advance of the teach starting. Throw the music on in the minute or two before your slot will start. It's a good way to get out the jitters if you're one of those, like I said earlier, if you start, if you're on stage 10 minutes early and you're nervous and you're thinking about starting early, throw the song on. Let 3 to 5 minutes burn up playing the song. It gives people an opportunity to hear the music if they haven't heard it before. They may discover they don't like the song and will go elsewhere. It might get them more excited to learn the dance because they really like the song. All of this is good to do at the very start, and it really sets you on a good path. It's a good way to start any workshop class. And that's exactly what I just said. Keep the energy up. So strive for the most comfortable learning atmosphere that you can. Being very particular to make people feel welcome, make them feel that this is a space where they can learn, but also screw up, and it's okay. Workshops are these interesting places where people are learning a whole bunch of new steps and step combinations and sequences and routines. They're probably going to make some silly mistakes at some point. Learning to roll with it and making it okay to make mistakes is a very important skill to have. It goes without saying, don't be negative, don't point people out when they make mistakes, and that I figure most people can understand that. I'm prefacing all of my bullet points here. So you want to avoid criticizing their efforts. And I will say this, especially larger workshops, when there's multiple halls, people are choosing to come to your class. That's a testament to you in either small ways or large ways. They're coming to learn from you. They could have gone anywhere else for that hour. So be sure to be upbeat and positive, but also don't be critical. People are probably not going to be masters of your routine in the 45 minutes that you have to teach it. So be mindful of that. Remember that. And if they make a mistake, roll with it. If they're laughing, feel free to laugh with them. I have on many occasions, especially when there's hand movements or arm movements or body movements and things, roll with it. If somebody does something goofy, make a fun moment out of it, but empower them, make them feel comfortable. Don't make it a negative experience. And that takes a lot of practice to find that balance and that nuance. Dance with energy, that's important, but don't flare, okay? We have some instructors out there that like to throw in some buck steps and Canadian steps or whatever. Once they go full speed and so on and so forth, you want to start showing off. Don't do that. These people are still learning the dance for the first time. They're still on very, very fragile footing. So you may be at full speed and you're 100% comfortable with your routine. Don't add unnecessary flair. If it's an advanced class or an intermediate plus class, it's a little bit more forgivable because you're dealing with higher level dancers. Anything intermediate or below, don't add any flair. That's unnecessary. It's not the time for you to show off. It's the time for them to feel like they can get through the dance from beginning to end. Okay, so the actual teach, you should start by letting them know how many beats they have to count before starting the dance. Some folks can't count beats. You know, you're going to encounter that, but the majority can. So 16 beats, 8 beats, whatever, so people can count along with you. So, is this the layer? Frosting the cake. I was about to preface myself again. So the how of a workshop teach, the goal, the what, is to get them to learn the dance. The how is layering the cake or frosting the cake. You are breaking down your routine, assuming it's a standard workshop routine with part A, B, C, so on and so forth. You're starting with the first part, and you're breaking that part down into the individual step sequences, and then you're building up to that part, and then you build up multiple parts together. So you're starting from the ground up, and you're kind of frosting the cake or layering the cake, and you're adding layers to the cake every part you do. You add part A, you do it with music. A, then B with music. A, B, and C with music. And you're building and building and building on what they have learned and what they know. And I would recommend going back and reviewing like if you're on part C or D, go back and review A for 1 or 2 minutes. Make sure that haven't lost that layer, that hasn't gone stale. So that is the how, and it's very important. Step by step, turn by turn, part by part, slow to fast. In that order. You're going step by step until the parts are done. Step by step, and then you add turns. I typically teach without turns and then add the turns. Then you build up to the part. You do part by part. And then once you have the whole routine down, then speed comes in. If you're below full speed, you work up to full speed. I tend to make it a rule. I always present the routine at full speed unless it's unnecessarily fast or unnecessarily slow, at which point I go higher than full speed. But you want there to be a progression. You want them to feel like they've attained a goal. And if they've learned the routine at a certain speed and you speed it up a little bit, the people that attempt it and succeed feel great. The people that struggle with it a little bit reinforce the point that workshops are about picking up steps here and there. It's not about being the master of all routines. More repetition is good. As I said, layer the cake. A to B, A, B, C. Do as many reps as you can. That is definitely a Judy Weymouth phrase. More repetitions. Reps are good. And then continue until all the parts are taught and the dance is complete, and yay, you have done it. At the end of the class, regardless, no matter what happens or how it goes, always thank the dancers for coming. You should offer additional help if they need it, and make sure you announce any workshop announcements. Usually the bigger workshops have announcements on stage that they ask you to announce for them. That's really important, and that doing what's asked of you, and I'll get to that at the end as far as final tips. But you should always close the class down with some final commentary. It makes people feel good, makes it feel like you appreciate their attendance. So I kind of, again, preface this. I have some additional teaching tips. This slide is not in your CCI manual. These are just my observations from teaching at Clogging workshops for now 12 years. I'm 26 years old, and I've been teaching at Clogging workshops since I was 14. So I have 12 years of experience that I wanted to share with you. First, spend extra time on specialty steps or difficult steps. So essentially what specialty steps are is this idea that, a high horse or a Samantha or things like that, those are standard steps. Those are intermediate steps that you'd find in any step library. If you have made up a step, it's called a specialty step, and you should spend more time on it. Try dancing sections without the turns first and then adding turns once the dancers are comfortable with the footwork. I said I usually do that. Emphasize the foot position for each step so that dancers know where to place their feet. So in front, in back, cross behind. The cue sheet should cover this. You should cover this as well. Feel free to review. If they don't get it, those who do not get it the first time will appreciate it, and those who already got it will benefit from the review. It's unlikely that dancers are going to get bored from an additional repetition. So one more time never hurt anybody. So always feel free to review. And have fun. You know, it's a time for the dancers, you and the dancers, to get to know one another, to have this moment together and learn material. And with time and practice, the process becomes easier and more enjoyable. So it occurs to me that I'm not quite sure if that's in your manual or not. I think those are additional tips that I am giving you off the cuff. I know that this slide is unique. I'm giving you some final notes on being a marketable instructor. Again, based on my 12 years of experience, these are things that I have encountered that have helped me get workshop bookings, if that's something that is of interest to you, and making the most out of the bookings that you get. And so I wanted to offer these up, and these I know are not in the manual. I'm not quite sure about these. I believe these were unique. These are not in the manual for sure. Earn your CCI, and that is goes without saying. You are watching this video, so you are probably attempting this goal. You should be aware, and I know the folks have mentioned this to you, I'm sure they have, it is not a golden ticket. The CCI does not equal workshop bookings galore. But what it does mean is that you value the art of clogging, that you have put in time and you've put in energy to pursue the craft further, and it complements your budding career in the workshop scene. So you should be very clear about that you've earned your CCI and you've put in the time, but don't expect it to be a golden ticket. You're going to be disappointed, and that's not what CCI is meant for. So be aware of that. Do what you're asked. I mentioned this earlier. So workshop coordinators value folks that do what they're asked. Again, this doesn't mean say yes to everything. You're a person, you have to learn to say no. Look at the leadership and motivation seminar for more on saying no. But if a workshop coordinator asks you to do something, you should seriously consider it and try your best to do it. And being agreeable when appropriate, that's how I phrase it. So again, doing what you're asked, and I brought that up back here. Let me go back. Yeah, introducing yourself, and then the workshop announcements is where yes. Okay, here. Workshop announcements. This is something that workshop coordinators are going to ask you. They're going to ask you, hey, will you announce this? Will you help us out with this, that, or the next thing? Do it. It's a very simple request, and they appreciate it when workshop instructors do what's asked of them. It's a small gesture, but be very mindful of it. Okay. Attend and learn to cue at fun dances. So some of us grew up with fun dances, some of us didn't, some of us like them, some of us hate them. If you're looking to pursue a career teaching workshop clogging routines, you should do them. Not only workshop coordinators value workshop or instructors that have more bang for the buck, so to speak, have more skill sets. If you are a workshop teacher that can teach a good class and do a good fun dance, you are doubly valuable to any workshop that you would like to teach at. It's very important, learning to cue at them specifically, but attending them also has a secondary purpose. It also makes you visible. Dancers love to see instructors out and about with them, dancing with them. You don't want to be kind of instructor that goes up, teaches a dance, and then disappears and is never seen again. It's very aloof, it's very uncomfortable, and I don't abide by that at all. This goes for attending workshop classes too, but attending fun dances is a very important skill set, and it is very visible. And there it is. That's my point. Be visible. No one will get to know you from your hotel room. That is, no truer words were spoken. So that concludes this video on teaching workshop routines. This is a part of the Certified Clogging Instructor online video series. Again, this is Andrew Perry, CCI. I hope you all enjoyed this seminar video, and I hope to see you at a workshop soon.